Good morning, Guam, and afternoon or evening if you're in another part of the world. Today is Frank's angelversary, 4 years, and I was doing 10 days of gratitude for him, and today's the 10th day. And I started with the live video, so I figured what better way to end it but with a live video. And truthfully, 10 days is never enough to show how much gratitude I have for this man. We've known each other, we knew each other for 26 years before he died, and we're married for 24. So there's so much of our life that I could share with you, and I could go on forever and ever, right? But I hope that the little snippets that I shared over the last 10 days was enough to inspire hope and love in all of you, and brought smiles to your face, especially for those of you that knew Frank, because those were all really good memories that we had in our life. And I know that you all have your own memories as well. You know, I was up at 1:30 this morning, not intentionally. I just kind of woke up and I had a hard time going back to sleep. Memories pop up of July 17, 2015, and it brought a lot of overwhelming emotion to me because there was so much love, there was so much heartbreak in many of your messages, and I just want to tell you guys from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for all the love that you sent. Even though I didn't pay attention to it back then, I was in such a dark place the moment I found out that Frank died, as I'm sure many of you were as well, because he meant so much to you. Frank had such a huge impact on so many people's lives around the globe, and it was just such an honor to be his wife, to be the mother of his kids and the grandmother of all his grandchildren. It's such an honor to have that space, that title, if you will. So days like today make my heart hurt a little bit more than it does on other days. Being a grief expert doesn't mean that I am immune to pain or to grief. It just means that I know now how to acknowledge my grief and to sit in my emotions when I need to. And the truth is, my life is amazing now. I never thought that it could be. And I owe a lot of that to him, because the way I live my life honors who he was in my life, who he was as a person. And it just sucks sometimes, you know, when I think about the things that I do today in helping others heal, in being intentional about being in the present moment. Those are all lessons that I learned because he died. Every time I get up and talk about grief, Frank is my story. Every time I do a workshop or a one-on-one program, Frank is my story. And so I get to talk about him all the time, which is simply amazing. And I think about what he's thinking, looking down on me. He better be proud because it took so much hard work for me to get to this point in my life. And still, every so often, I get the wind sucked out of me. And that's grief. It's all normal, it's all natural. I love coming up here to visit him. It's so peaceful. It doesn't feel morbid. You know, when he died, the things that changed instantly rocked my world like it's never been rocked before. You guys know that I didn't bury Frank until 3 years later. And so having his urn at home, we got used to it. And then when I buried him, it was another loss in my life because I got used to having him at home in this beautiful urn. And now it's in here. And sometimes I wish I can open up this thing and take him out just to hold him one more time. You all know that if you've lost a loved one, that life happens. It keeps moving regardless of our grief, right? So we too have to keep moving. And the healing process takes a lot of hard work. You have to be active and intentional about your healing. And so I hope that, me sharing my story, my life with Frank, the things that I've been through, the things that I continue to go through, inspires you to have courage in your own life, to be intentional. I always talk about living in the present moment, and it's so true. We never really get it as human beings because of all the beliefs that we've had over time, and we spend so much time living in the past, regretting things that, we wish could have been different, better, more. Or we are so anxious about the future, what the future holds for us. In the past, we could never change. The future, we can't predict. And I know that all too well because Frank left that morning and kissed me goodbye and said, "I love you." And then in a few minutes, he was gone. So the present moment is really all we have that we can control in our lives. Frank knew that. I always used to think he was such an old soul because even at 17, how the heck did you know that I was the one that was going to be the mother of your kids and that I was the one for you looking through a kitchen window? That's crazy. And I always used to joke with him and tell him, "Oh my God, if you had told me that at that moment, I would have not even given you a second thought because I was not ready to be a mom at that time." But there was so much wisdom in the things that Frank said and did over the course of his life. Those of you that had the honor and the privilege of knowing Frank know this. Some of the comments that I saw today on Facebook from 4 years ago were that Frank was a caring person, that he was a gentle soul, that he always made sure that he acknowledged people and made you feel special. And I loved to see all those messages because a lot of that were from you guys from the States that had the honor of knowing Frank before I got to know him in his younger days, right? So Frank was always that person since he was little all the way up until he died. He had a sarcastic tone about him, that's for sure, that sometimes irritated the shit out of me. But what I would give to get that back. We have a big family. 3 kids and almost 8 grandchildren waiting for our baby Elijah to be born. And that's amazing. That's a blessing for sure. And I've said it many times that there's always so much joy and sadness when my grandbabies are born because I know how much they meant to Frank in this life, and I know they still do. I know he watches over them. But if you saw him with Ava and how he was with her, that little girl softened Frank's heart like I've never seen before. it was so beautiful to watch him interact with his granddaughter. And then Kira was born, and he always wanted a boy. So he tried to make her like a boy, and boy, she was one crazy little 2-year-old running around with no shoes on the sleeping grass in our backyard and throwing food all over the place. And you know what? Her papa didn't care. She could do whatever she wanted, and that was perfectly fine by him. And then our Lily was born. She was only 1 when Frank died. But again, you know, just seeing his eyes sparkle when he knew he was going to have another granddaughter, and how it was so important for him to be there when Lily was born. It was just so amazing to watch the transformation that these granddaughters of ours did to their papa. It was beautiful. And then Amaya comes a month after he died, and he was so excited for her to come into this world. He even went and met us at the clinic so that he can be there for Kina's ultrasound to see if she was having a boy or a girl. And we almost thought it was a boy, but you know what? It didn't matter to Frank. A grandbaby was a grandbaby, boy or girl. And even though he did want a grandson, those granddaughters, they were his entire world. They really were. If you guys saw my video that I posted, I actually posted it on my Darlene Garcia business page, but it was a video that I had put together last year, and it was all the things that we have done since Frank died to honor his memory. And it's such a beautiful tribute that we can do for him every month, every year on his angelversary, every birthday, every Christmas, every opportunity that we are celebrating something or someone. Frank is always a part of it. But some of the unique things that we did to honor him really helped us to find healing and joy in the midst of our sadness. And it helps, especially for those that haven't done grief recovery yet. You know, the first step to healing is always just acknowledging and feeling your pain, right? So I know that at some point when you're all ready, you know where to find me. Anyways, I'm going to spend a little bit more time up here with this angel love of mine alone. So thank you guys for tuning in, for being a part of my journey, for supporting me, for loving me. Thank you for sharing your words of gratitude with me as well, that I've inspired your life in some way. Because all of that means that Frank didn't die in vain, and that his memory will live on forever. Because even after I go, I know you guys will be talking about him. And I think that that's beautiful, because he left a lasting impression on all your hearts. And even those of you that never met Frank know him through all the stories that I share. And I find that simply amazing. So when your loved ones pass on, it's nice to remember them and to talk about them, and for people to engage in sharing fond memories with you. And when you die, when it's your turn, think about what you want to be remembered for, what you want to leave behind. Frank left behind an amazing legacy of caring and unselfishness and wisdom and gratitude and so much love for all the lives that he touched. So thank you for being a part of this journey with us, and it doesn't end here. It will continue, but I need to spend some time with him now. So I love you guys. Happy angelversary to the man that spent all of his adult life with me.